Welcome to the Sportsbiz Show. Today we have with us Neha Aggarwal, a former Indian table tennis player who participated in Beijing Olympics in 2008, the only woman from India to feature in the discipline. She holds a master's in sports management from Columbia University and is currently the head of partnerships and communications at Olympic Gold Quest, a not-for-profit foundation working towards the development and preparation of elite athletes and Olympians such as Gagan Narang, Mary Kom, and Saina Nehwal, amongst others. Today, we'll be speaking to Neha about her journey from being an Olympian to now working off the court to developing champions for the world's biggest stage. Let's dive into it. Hello, Neha. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Thanks, Ananya, for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. Would love to start off with your current role at the Olympic Gold Quest and what does a day-to-day working as the head of partnerships and communications for you entail?
Sure. So, like you know, Olympic Gold Quest is a not-for-profit organization. It was started by Geet Sethi and Prakash Padukone a decade back, and the day-to-day job for me as head of partnership is raising funds for OGQ. All funding that we receive is through donations from CSR or from corporates or from HNIs and family foundations. So it's being aggressive on the go, meeting donors, meeting potential people who could potentially donate to OGQ, building strong communication with the donors, telling them about Olympic Gold Quest and what the Olympic world looks like and how the athletes are preparing and things like that. Apart from that, I also manage a few para athletes as well. So that's also something I do at Olympic Gold Quest. So it's pretty busy that way. You have to be always on the go, always hustling every single day that way.
I'm sure you're used to the hustle because you represented India at the Beijing Olympics in 2008 in table tennis while you were still studying at St. Stephen's College in Delhi. How were you able to balance, um, your academics while competing at that level? And before you start, just curious, what course did you pursue at St. Stephen's?
Yeah, so I did a BA program course because if I had opted for anything else, I would have definitely not been able to go to the Olympics. But I think the power of a good institution really matters. And that is why even in school, I was at DPS Arkipuram, and now after St. Stephen's, I went to Columbia. So I really do believe in the power of having a good institution builds your network. Balancing sport and education was all about time management. And as athletes, we learn how to focus and stay and perform within the given time frame, right? And for me, I was always curious about things apart from what was there in my training schedule. So I would read the paper, I would go to school, I would be interested in other things. So had an inclination to study as well. And thus, because the environment at home was also very conducive to, being humble, staying grounded and not too many distractions. So a typical day for me, would look like I would wake up at 4:45. I would then do my warm up. My dad had got a table at home, so my coach would come at around 5:20. We would start training from 5:30 to 6:30. That was like an hour of very focused technical training. And then I would go to school, come back, train from 3 to 6:30, then go for my tuitions because that's where I would get an hour, do all my homework and understand what I could not understand at school, and then come back home and sleep. So that was my whole schedule for as long as I was in school, and really helped me to sort of stay focused. And that also meant that you have to give up your social life. You don't have a normal childhood. For the longest time, I did not have good friends. You miss all your family gatherings. You don't have birthday parties to go to, you're not going out for movies, etc. So that's sort of the life you live, and I think you then definitely reap the results as well of that disciplined life that we led.
Mm. Makes sense. No, that's a reality that obviously very few people share. So it's good to have that in the open. But on the part of your school and having that network, up until you pursued sports as a professional, did your school, maybe if it was your high school, your DBS RKP, or St. Stephen's as your college, did that play a role in promoting you to pursue more sports? Did that provide the sports environment, or was it you primarily, like you said, at home, where you got the actual push and ability to learn?
No, they definitely contributed in the way that they gave the comfort to be okay to say miss the half yearly exams, or say take it at a later date. So they gave that way, the school and college gave the flexibility to miss classes. Sport means, I started representing India when I was 13 years old, so in under 14 and under 17. So I was always traveling as well. So they gave the flexibility to miss classes and then come back and write your exams at my convenience. Like, I remember for my 12th standard, I was traveling during my pre-board exams, so they organized separate pre-board exams for me, and then the teachers would help me after school to catch up on the things that I missed out. So definitely plays a big role in giving you the comfort level and not the stress, because being an athlete, you cannot be stressed ki, oh, my schools, my classes are being missed, I need to cover up, I need to catch up on that. I think it has to be a conducive environment overall to help you focus on being an athlete if you've chosen that for yourself.
Hmm. So, when you retired from table tennis, what made you make the switch to the business side and the development side of sports?
Yeah. So for me, it was not really when I retired. I think the retirement was uh, uh, was to make that switch
Hmm.
primarily. I knew that I want to do something in the business side of sport, and more importantly, be in a space where I can help the Indian athletes train better, do things better, things that the mistakes that we made in my career, and that's only because of lack of support, overall support that Indian athletes gave. So I always had that vision and that aim, that if I can do something better to help the next generation of athletes train better and thus win Olympic medals for India, I would do it, because I was only as good as to take part at the Olympics. But for me, the gap from taking part to actually winning an Olympic medal was big, right? And I truly feel that Indian athletes have the potential and the talent to do that. It's just that we are not nurtured in the right way. So for me, that was a very big motivating factor to actually make that switch and be in a space where I can contribute to that.
Hmm. How did you garner the skills post your athletic days to help you up until in your career up until now? And what are those skills that have actually helped you in your career up until now?
Yeah. I think the biggest was to do a sports management degree. So I went to Columbia University to do my master's in sports management. And for me, that was one of the best decisions I made, because it helped me really in a smooth transition from being an athlete to then a sport professional. Just to give you how raw I was, I had never made a PowerPoint presentation until I went to Columbia. And those are something so basic that the Indian education system at that time for me did not really put me into that hustle, right? And of course I was busy training at that time. So I had to really go back to the drawing board and learn things that would be needed to survive and excel in the business world. And thus I think that experience at Columbia was really valuable. And after that, I did a couple of internships as well. I interned at the United States Olympic Committee, where I understood how what are various aspects for an international, an organization needs where they're preparing the athletes. So really understood the structure of the USOC, and understood how they're raising funds, how are they supporting athletes, and how can one non-for-profit be so strong in a country where they're producing so many Olympic medalists. I also worked at the International Table Tennis Federation, where I worked as a website editor over there. And there I got to really work on my writing skills, and talk about table tennis the way it was not spoken about. So that was something I did at the side. I also ventured into commentary for a while, and sort of tested my skills there. But really the learning happened when I joined Olympic Gold Quest, and I sort of knew that I need to be here, because when I was an athlete, I always dreamt that can I be supported by Olympic Gold Quest in my journey as an athlete, and it was a no brainer for me to join that. And the skills, I think, um, in terms of the skills, I think you need to be smart, you need to hustle, you need to get the job done. I think those are some softer skills, which is what sport has also taught you, to stay humble and stay grounded and to be a team player. I think the other skills, on specifically on various aspects, say accounting, fundraising, communication, and other things, research, that can always be learned. I think the softer skills which sport has really taught me has contributed in firstly in a successful transition, and then as I move up my career, to help me gradually go up the ladder.
From your experience as an athlete, do you think the scope of table tennis has changed now, with the advent, not only the commercialization, but with the advent of leagues such as we got ultimate table tennis? Do you think there's been some gaps that have been fulfilled, and what do you think still lies in the industry that needs to be fulfilled further?
Yeah, definitely. I think at my time, we did not have the belief that we can beat the Chinese and the Japanese and the best in the world. I think the major difference in the current generation is the belief, right? They have that belief that they can succeed. We saw the biggest example in Manika Batra when she won the singles and the teams at the Commonwealth Games in 2018, right? And who would have thought that an Indian woman could do that? So I think it's a lot in the fact that the Indian table tennis players have that, and it's the attitude, which is very, very good. Which, and why do they get this? Because of course the facilities has improved. I think the Table Tennis Federation of India is doing a good job. Of course there's a lot to improve, there's always things to improve, but I think what we were and from what we are now, we've come a long way. Even from the support from the sports ministry, the top scheme, I think it's been great for the table tennis players overall. We've had two very good foreign coaches who've really shaped the Indian table tennis players, especially Manika and Satyan, overall. So I think it's a great time to be a table tennis player in India, and I can only see us doing well. Archana Kamath and Diya Chitle, whom we also support at OGQ, are one of India's top junior players now, doing excellent. Archana finished fourth at the Youth Olympics level, and so you know that the margins are really fine now, and our girls and boys can do their. Satyan is came in the top 25 in the world. I mean, who would have ever thought that? So I think we're doing great. Of course, we need now more consistency. Our cadets, sub junior players, 12, 13, 14-year-olds need that exposure, which they have, which say a Manika or a Satyan have got, and we need that consistency. I think that's where we are lacking right now. But I'm very confident that Indian table tennis is going to do excellent in the near future.
Interesting. And at OGQ, what are those specific verticals that you want to target for those athletes? How you can sort of bridge that gap for that athlete in table tennis?
Yeah, I think for from the OGQ perspective, what we do is we bring in the expertise. We work very closely with the government, with Sports Authority of India, the top scheme, and we work together to identify the gaps. I think, and that's why the biggest is the expertise. So things like having a good nutritionist, having a good physiotherapist, and we've been able to fill in those gaps and work together as a system to provide the best facilities to our athletes, also international exposure, things like that. So it's overall been an overarching good support for these athletes through Olympic Gold Quest.
Hmm. Is there a pipeline that OGQ has been able to tap into where the talent is being nurtured from? Is there a way to sort of figure out who has that right talent and how and which factors to sort of pinpoint to work on when it comes to India, where the gap may not. I mean, in the hopes that the gap doesn't widen as these athletes move from those sub junior levels to the senior levels. So is there sort of a missing? Is there a bridge that needs to be fulfilled in that sense?
Yeah, you have to identify kids when they are 12, 13, 14 years old, because once you teach them the right things at that age, you're then putting the right processes in place and nurturing them for the long run. If you because say at 2021, it's very hard to unlearn what you've already learned, right? So we are able to identify kids as young as 12, 13, 14 and put the right processes in place, and then give them the right support. And I think when you support a bunch, a pool of athletes who are talented, and you give them the right support, I think India has a lot of talent. India has a lot of potential. Like I said before, it's the facilities that we need to provide them. They will definitely do well. So at OGQ, we've been able to identify those at the right time and put those processes in place for them to do well in the long run.
Yeah. Lastly, what's your piece of advice to Olympians like yourself, aspiring to sort of stick and pursue their sport, make it further in their professional careers, as well as to Olympians who are now looking to transition, much like yourself, how you did a few years back?
I think the biggest advice is to get those skills that will help you transition, because as Olympians we're so deeply involved in doing what we do, that's sport. The other skill set is something which is not really nurtured, and that will definitely go a long way. You'll need those to do well in the next, say, 20, 30 years of your life as you move transition into the management and administration side. So I acquired those, work on those. And I think just using your experience to the fullest. All us Olympians in India have faced a lot of difficulties, and the system now is great. There's so much support from the government side. So it's an exciting time to be an athlete in India. So the ones who've retired, I think, firstly, to come back to the system and work for the development of Indian sport, get those skills to help you transition smooth, and then follow your dream, whatever it is, to help India basically become a sporting superpower. I
Mhm.
think if the past the retired Olympians can come back into the system and contribute, I think that'll be invaluable for the Indian sports ecosystem.
Very well said. Thank you for sharing that. With that, it brings me to the end of my questions. But it was great learning from you about your experience as an Olympian and how you've been able to transition those skills and brought them on to the administrative and the development side with OGQ. Thank you.
Thanks, Ananya. Thank you so much. And congrats to you as well for doing so great with the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share for the best tips and trends in the world of sports business, wherever you listen to podcasts. Reach out over social media to connect or collaborate. Links will be in the bio. See you next time.